Hi, I'm Chris Hiley. I am the brand and product manager at HELM Audio. And this year here at CES, another second year of awards. We've got an innovation award on our Census HD true wireless earbuds that are going to be hitting the market in second quarter.
That's so cool. So talk a little bit about these earbuds that you're showcasing here at CES.
Yeah, so HELM Audio has a brief but kind of a nice little history about with the products that we've released. Our True Wireless 5 headphones are it's a true wireless earbud that has a real over-the-ear sound in terms of its fullness. It has a lot of fans. We've also got recently, like just during the holiday season, our HELM Bolt is a MQA enabled DAC that has a USB-C on one side and then a 3.5 millimeter for converting digital to analog from a smartphone. And that's going gangbusters. If you're not familiar with MQA technology, it allows you to stream master quality authenticated audio over a conventional kind of audio streaming packet, particularly through vendors like Tidal, Nugs, and some others. It's been blowing up for us. The Census HD is kind of a next step for us in a couple of different directions. The Census HD is what we're calling, or what kind of the industry is calling, a hearable or a hearing assistant. It's not a medical device, so it's not necessarily a hearing aid. But what the Census HD is a package of a number of technologies put together to try and enhance, the hearing that you currently have, but also voice assistants, really proprietary noise cancellation to really focus on what the wearer is listening to in terms of, we're trying to emphasize forward focus and not necessarily, focus from behind you, those kinds of things. And some of those things are happening in ANC technology currently, but we're doing it with a couple of different packages. And it marks a new step for HELM because we're doing this with a couple of partnerships. We're working with the guys at SonarWorks, who have a long history doing headphone calibration profiles for recording studios and audio engineers there. They've moved into the realm of doing studio monitor calibration, audio monitors, where they supply a microphone and they basically set up an EQ curve to balance your whole room out. We were approached with an interesting technology from them that's consumer facing called Sound ID. And Sound ID has millions of listening tests in their kind of machine learning environment, where they can basically provide a very simple test for users in an app, and they're able to configure a customized profile for your hearing, what you like, and then in our case, what's going to be, what do you need, where are there potential areas of deficiency. And so SonarWorks and HELM are working on something that's proprietary for HELM in terms of that test, to make sure that we do a really good job of recognizing the hearing capabilities and preferences of the listener. And then once that test is finished, that profile is actually stored on the headphones. It's an EQ profile that gets stored on the headphones. So it's not something that you have to run an app in the background. And then we're also working with Native Voice Technologies. Native Voice is a company that's got a little bit of a history, but most of what they've done is they've got a lot of expertise in voice recognition. So I don't want to trigger our voice assistants here, so I'll just say, hey, dingus. But some of us use different dinguses from different platforms and whatnot. And as someone who uses one or two of those services, that they miss commands. There are things that don't get where you expect them to, this should be able to detect this, or should be able to pick up on this, and it's not. Native Voice.
There's a conspiracy that Google Home hates my wife in this household because it never listens to her ever.
So I have a friend from a podcast who says Siri hates his wife, like it shouts at her. So and he's a huge Apple fanboy. So but the kind of the thing that's happening in the background in terms of what Hey Dingus is enabling, right, is the fact that that's still the gateway to potentially the other services that you may want to be interested in using. So some of the examples that Native Voice continually kind of calls up, I'm safe to mention them. So instead of saying, hey Dingus, order me a Starbucks, just being able to say, hey Starbucks, or for something that would be Helm cloud related, it would be hey Helm, hey Helm Audio, and then so. What Native Voice is doing is lining up all of those partnerships and also working on the voice recognition technology so that those elements are smoother than they currently are using, the other, cloud provided assistants that are currently out there. And then just, as a rule, the Census HDs are Helm audio headphones. So they're going to have a big full sound, even though they're a smaller package than our True Wireless 5s and our older True Wireless 4s that are out there. So they'll accommodate more ear sizes, but it's, it'll be a very convenient headphone, nice long battery life. It's really everything that we've learned regarding our True Wireless headphone projects is being poured into this Census HD.
See, that's crazy to me because there's so many on a consumer level. It's so difficult to kind of prep for every situation, because when these things are being tested and engineered, they're done in a closed off environment in a completely soundproof room, to make sure everything's right. And then when they go out into the public, there's multiple scenarios and environments that they try to account for, but you can't account for literally everything. It might be too close to a wall, might be too close to the TV, like something like that. Just that might never works. In my case, ours is in the corner. Our Dingus is in the corner. My wife has to scream at it for it to listen. I don't know, maybe the way the sound bounces in that corner is weird, but just stuff like that. So it's really cool that you guys are looking into this and trying to improve that experience overall from a software standpoint as well as a hardware standpoint.
Yeah, and that's it. It really is the combination of software and hardware. A lot of True Wireless headphones that are designed to do multiple things, right? Kind of conferencing, calls, and playback of audio. It generally, what happens is you get jack of all trades and master of none. What we're really trying to do is deliver the same headphone experience that we've always done, and then to also apply technology to things like microphones and being able to do beamforming microphone alignments so that you're actually able to, when you put these things in, there are two modes. There's a music mode and there's another mode that we call Smart Talk. And they're controllable just by a touch of a button. And you can flip between them to be able to, if I need to focus on the person in front of me and I need to kind of cancel out the world, basically from I don't even know what the angle would be. It's greater than 180, but it's probably not 270 because it won't be that narrow. But we're able to kind of steer those microphones to what you're facing and not necessarily the entire. I mean, we do have microphones that are aligned in different directions, but they're not the ones that are, those are the ones that are telling us, hey, this is noise. So, and we're really working hard on that noise cancellation algorithm. It's not an easy job. It's not an off the shelf algorithm. It's something that for us, we really want to make sure that we get this thing dialed in so that all this, a lot of the situations that you run into, right, which is proximity to other objects, can really kind of create interesting reflections, but also, just different acoustic anomalies that we need to account for.
Yeah, it's also, I want to talk about this. You talked about like these, your technology and how sound and listening and hearing enhancement, which is fascinating to me because I've always wondered, like, how does a bat see the world, right? Because they use sound to paint an image around them. Like, can we get to that point with your headsets eventually, you think? Paint an image with just sound?
Everybody's seen probably the YouTube videos of the, someone with a disability who is able to kind of use a different sense to kind of figure out the shape of a room or whatnot. I don't know that we'll ever get to that point, but one of the things that is really interesting is, as a headphone manufacturer and many other headphone and audio manufacturers in general, if you have something, a sound that you've kind of developed or you have a reputation for, it's something that you kind of want to protect. And one of the things that's very difficult is to release some of that control of that kind of EQ curve over to a user. But one of the things that I've found out from reading various different papers that have come out recently, and it's the result of technology being able to kind of assess a lot of data in a hurry, is that everybody hears things a little differently. in some cases a lot differently. There's a lot of different factors involved, and including not just the shape of your ear canal, the diameter of the ear canal, the depth of it, but the size of your head, the size of your chest. How you hear things is very much a factor of your body. And so having some personalization in something as intimate as a pair of headphones is probably a step in the direction that you're going to see more manufacturers kind of go after and allow users to kind of, and everybody's had, right? Everybody's played with EQ curves and done some things. And for those of us who work in the audio industry, it's interesting to see how many people basically like, no, we kind of like this flat. We kind of like this as is. But for general consumers, they may need or they may want to have something that has, hey, I need more, and they're not going to identify it this way, but I might need more 5K and up response, or I don't need a lot of energy below 100 hertz because maybe I'm compensating for some issues, or in some cases, I've heard of people losing a significant portion of a range in one ear, not both. And so, trying to make sure that everybody potentially at some time down the road is going to be able to kind of balance their listening devices to a curve with something that they can test with is really an interesting and new development. And I think potentially there's going to be a lot more people who are happier with what they get out of headphones when they have more control over how that curve works in their own head.
You mentioned like you're not a medical device, and I'm assuming that's because when you try to market a medical device, there's a lot more liability, a lot more testing, a lot more certification needs to go into this device. When you're just trying to say, hey, it might be cool if you could hear sound better. You know what I mean? It might just cool if you could angle your head and hear this a little bit better. Like you don't want to market it as a medical device for that reason, basically, right?
There's definitely a different bar for when you're working as a medical device, but also this is a first step for us, and so we're not going to necessarily try and compete with people who've been in the space for decades. It's not necessarily to our advantage or to anybody else's. This will be something that we're going to kind of step into, and we're stepping in a big way, but it's something that we're calling it what it is. It's a hearable device, and sometimes too, if you, as soon as you slap that medical tag onto it, all of the cost factors have to go up. And so that would just price it out of the range of the consumers that we're trying to reach as well. So by keeping it where we're keeping it, how we're positioning it, we're able to kind of give more people the benefit of a hearable device.
Yeah, I think that's smart because you're able to collect even like more interesting, relevant data to that end when you're just giving it to everybody instead of just giving it to people who can't really hear well. You know what I mean? Get more feedback from a wider group of people, from people who can hear well, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff, which is an interesting take. Sounds like you're doing so much fun stuff with sound technology just in general. Is it surprising to you how powerful technology has gotten, where you can do all this stuff with a combination of software and hardware that's this big, that fits in your ear now?
That's not like Moore's law about chip size, getting smaller and smaller every 3 years. I can't remember. I'm not that kind of engineer. But it's really surprising how small you can get a package. I mean, when you consider Bluetooth wireless, true wireless headphones, you have a chip inside of something that fits in your ear that is a Bluetooth receiver, a speaker, or some sort of transducer, right? And then also an amplifier and a battery with a charging circuit. It's ridiculous to think of that even 15 years ago, that now it's just, it seems like it's everywhere, but just not very long ago that, everybody's running around with, white earbuds that came, with their phone, and that was just the common accepted, this is how it sounds and I like it, or this is the way it is. This is the smallest thing we can do. And now it's pretty unbelievable what's happening.
Yeah, it's funny. I have a friend who's an engineer, and he always goes like, 20 years ago, this was underneath a bunker under lockdown for the CA, and it was military tech. And now, like, you can go to like any store and get it. It's just crazy how that stuff happens, Yeah,
it's really insane. There's been some developments recently that have really been, and some of them are not as recent. They've been around for maybe 5 or 6 years, but they're just beginning to really break the kind of popular zeitgeist. And one of those things for me personally was the MQA, the Master Quality Authenticated Streaming. I'm an audio engineer and an audio producer. I work in the space. I have conversations with other audio engineers and producers about audio fidelity, and there's been a conversation for a long time about, do we need better, improved, sampling rates and that kind of stuff. And MQA is a technology that an engineer or an artist at the closing stages of a recording project can roll. Well, now even they can do it with an older master, but they can roll that into an MQA input system and get the same quality that was in the studio in terms of that recording, and then stream it over a package that's the same size as a Spotify stream or an Apple Music stream or whatever, but then using a renderer, and for us it's our HELM Audio Bolt, you're able to unfold that audio stream back into the original quality. The first time I heard it would have been late May of 2019, maybe June. My jaw dropped. As an audio engineer, I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. It made me nervous. I've let other audio engineers hear about it, and just kind of staggering how the detail that we hear behind studio monitors was now streaming over a phone and reproduced in a pair of headphones. It was frankly scared me a little bit, but it's one of the cool things about our HELM Audio Bolt is that MQA technology just continues to, the library on Tidal continues to expand at a rate that I can't understand or explain, but it feels like every week there's a whole other chunk of existing catalog that's coming out, and just the stuff that you're hearing that you thought you heard before, and then you hear it at the MQA detail. It's pretty staggering.
Yeah, I think we've gotten to the point now where people are realizing that there are differences in quality in audio cables and just in stuff in general. Like, yeah, a $2 audio cable at a gas station is not going to give you the same kind of clarity as like your silver high-end cable. You know what I mean? Like it's different. It's going to be, and sometimes you need to hear them back to back quickly to be like, holy crap, it's like when you get wax removed from your ears. You're like, oh my God, I can hear. You know what I mean? There's a whole new experience for me.
Well, one of the things that I kind of compare it to is, remember when you saw 4K? You saw 4K television for the first time?
Yeah.
Mind-blowing. MQA is like 4K for your ears. It's 4K for audio in a lot of ways in terms of being able to hear it. And using the HELM Audio Bolt, it opens up this thing that you're just like, you're blown away. I can't, the detail, the level of nuance that you're able to get even out of really old recordings is just one of the things I really love is even listening to the old Ella Fitzgerald, Louis Armstrong recordings, which were in mono, recorded to that was probably to 1/2-inch tape, and you don't have a ton of microphones and you don't have a ton, it's a very simple recording, but still the detail was just like, it's staggering. It's one of the funnest listens I've ever had, in addition to new stuff that's coming out. It's just really unbelievable.
It's funny. I used to work in an audio post house, and my boss would go on and on how he remastered Pink Floyd's album, like just for fun. Like he had like these huge files, and he was like making a remix of it or something, or making clearing it up, and he would just talk about it all the time. And then when he finally, and I didn't understand until he showed it to me, then I was like, oh, okay, like I get it now. And since I have you here, I have to get your, like, as an audio engineer, I have to, like, how do you feel about devices removing the jack in completely? Like, do you think that's just the way it is moving forward? Do you think USB, because you still need, like, dongles and adapters will always be a thing, but it seems like these last few years, people have been really kind of struggling to swallow we've removed the headphone jack from all audio smart devices, and now you have to have a USB-C to audio jack adapter.
Or a lightning to 3.5 mil.
Yeah.
It definitely is there's a convenience factor. One of the things that's really interesting and is just to see, it's not interesting, it's a curiosity to see if the Bluetooth spec is going to kind of begin to go in step with where audio developments are, because for audio, like all of the Bluetooth spec changes have been about efficiency, range, those kinds of things. They haven't really done anything to improve audio in two fronts, either data footprint, but also, just sample rate, bandwidth, those kinds of things. It's the same. Bluetooth 5 is the same as Bluetooth 4 in terms of audio and latency, right? It's like memory buffer size is still the same. So Bluetooth is for a lot of audio engineers, it's a necessary evil. And I can pull up charts and look at things about, smearing of transients, attacks on things like drums and that kind of stuff. But the convenience of Bluetooth is just, are you going to go back? If you have a pair of wireless headphones, are you necessarily going to go back? I think the great thing is I think consumers are beginning to wise up about the adapters that they buy. Like you mentioned, like you can't just, yes, you can go into, anywhere and go to any big box and grab a USB-C or a Lightning, to 3.5 mil connector, and then find that you have problems in terms of, if you're trying to power a pair of headphones that has a lot of, a high impedance load, that your phone is just really not equipped to do that, which is one of the reasons why we went into the business of developing a mobile amplifier in our DB12 amp, which is a THX. It's an all analog amp. It's currently 3.5 mil input and output on both sides, but it's no bigger than the fob for your car, and it does a 12 dB boost. It's a staggering good, amplifier. But it also, because of THX's technology, their AAA technology, amplification technology, it also cleans up the signal. So if you've got a phone that's got a really poor DAC and amplifier, usually it's the amp that's kind of more the culprit than anything else introducing noise. The DB12 kind of puts that up. However, you do need to step that into the analog realm for the DB12 to work. So there are things that they're coming in the market that you're seeing more things. Do I wish more devices had headphone jacks on them? It's 50-50. It's some of those headphone jacks aren't worth, they're not worth the space that they're taking, in terms of, some manufacturers are not putting a lot of attention into that. They're more concerned about battery use and space than they are about quality there. But if we lose the headphone jack, someone's going to come along with something that's going to replace, or at least give you the connectivity. If we lose a port completely on smartphones, I think you're going to see a lot of people really scream. But so far, I don't know that anybody's had that conversation for real.
Oh, Apple will find a way to remove it and make everyone angry, and then abandon it 2 years later. Sorry. Okay. Anyway, so Chris, where can people find out more information about your products, and specifically like the HELM Bolt DAC amp and stuff like that? Where can they go?
If you go to helmaudio.com, and then you can just go to the products page, the products drop down, you can see all the current stuff that we have available there. And then we've got more stuff coming out this year. The Census should be out second quarter, and we've got more things that are happening this year that are really cool. Probably don't want to let the horse out of the barn just yet.